Hello. Welcome to the Soul Power Experience. Activate your soul power. Live your infinite greatness. Be your own hero. Welcome to session 7 of the Soul Power Experience. I am is the topic of our lesson today. So I'm sure you're very aware of the quote from Marianne Williamson, but I'm going to read just the first part of it. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? So one of the things that I have discovered in my I am journey is sometimes the things that we are most afraid of are the things that are really part of who we are. So I'm just going to share a few stories. So I have been afraid of running. Just ask my family. For years and years and years, I would see a runner along the street and I'm like, oh my goodness, look at that person. They look so miserable. They can't even breathe. Oh my goodness. Like, what in the world are they running for? Well, in my 50s, I started running. And it's actually one of the best forms of exercise that I do. And it's really brought like a sense of youth to my life. And it isn't that miserable, especially if you run as slow as I do. Another thing that I have been afraid of is kale. I cannot even tell you how many bags of kale I've thrown away because I just don't even know what to do with it. Now, we have chickens, so it's not that big of a deal, but I have discovered that I actually love kale and salad, and I get really sad when I'm out of it. I'm actually addicted to vegetables now. So what I used to be afraid of is an important part of my life. Another thing that I've been afraid of is to go to Africa. Well, I still am. So we'll see. Also, I've been so afraid of bears, only to find out that my spirit animal is a bear. And my children call me Mama Bear because I am a protector. And that's been important to realize. I've been also afraid of money, and then to realize that money is just energy. And with my abundance is everywhere mindset, I'm no longer afraid of money, and I expect to receive as much money as is in my heart to receive. And of course, I am blessed to receive and to give money. And then the last thing that I've been absolutely afraid of or ambivalent toward is nature. So I just don't see the point of being in nature. One time I went to a conference, which was in a 3-story conference center, and the stairwell was glass enclosed, and so I could see nature. And I made it my goal not to go outside for 3 solid days. It was such an accomplishment because I love being inside. Well, in my abundance is everywhere mindset, you can see how important nature has been to me to discover just how great it is to be in such abundance. But also, I have this concept now in my I am is be like a tree. And what I mean by that is when you go outside and look at a tree, the tree is just a tree. It's not trying to be anything more than what it is. The color of its leaves, the shape of its branches, its height, its width, whatever, it's just a tree, and it's happy to be a tree. So part of my living I am is just to be me, to be happy to be me. However I show up in any situation, be like a tree, be happy to be you. And so being in nature now, I just am so blessed to just look at all the trees and the grass and the mountains and everything and just go, look at, they're just being who they are. And I want to be who I am too. So be like a tree is a very important concept of my I am journey. And I hope it will make a big deal of difference to you, because really the very most important thing about showing up in your I am is self-acceptance of exactly who you are and how you are every moment of the day. It's a very important part of your I am journey. Another thing to consider is, what did you do as a child that was really global in its expression? So when you think back in your childhood, and we can obviously address this in our hypnotherapy session, what way did you play that just felt so true to who you are? As I took a moment to consider this, I grew up in North Dakota, and it was very snowy and cold, and we could hardly play outside. But in the spring, when the snow started to melt, it became 35 degrees out. We could go outside without a coat, if you can imagine, and play outside freely. One of my favorite things to do was to watch the snow melt alongside the curb. So I'd start at one end of the block and follow the snow and the melting snow alongside the curb, and remove any blocks that kept the flow from happening. And as I considered that in my life now, that's exactly what I help clients do, is to remove anything that blocks the client's love for him or herself, others, the planet, and in so doing, God. And of course, I have an important quote that addresses that from Rumi. Your task is not to seek love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers you have built within yourself. Perfect. So another part of my I am journey is from The War of Art by Steven Pressfield. And so he said that in our childhood, and in our adult life, we often live with a sense of hierarchy, which is that we have, we're a child, we have a parent, we're an employee, we have a boss, or a citizen, and we have a president, we go to church, and we have a pastor, and we sometimes feel limited by, or even our spouse, having a spouse, but sometimes we feel limited when we show up considering life in a hierarchical way. A better way to show up, you ready, is to own your territory. So what that means is, rather than considering all the people that are above you or below you, that you consider everyone is just beside you. And you show up and say, hey, this is my territory. I own this space that my body and soul is taking right now, and I'm just going to show up and be me. Another important concept about I am is to say to yourself, I am, is to really recognize your internal self, your soul within your body, your spirit, just showing up as I am. Not getting distracted by anything outside of yourself. Showing up in your own eternal power, light, love, and wisdom. And then, in order to feel like you own the space that you're showing up at, you say, I am here. And then that allows you to look around a little bit and be present where you are physically. So I am, and then I am here is a great grounding exercise to live out your I am. Now, you can think of your life as a blueprint, and you're following a specific path, or a puzzle and you're finding a specific piece. But you can also consider your life like a kaleidoscope, Whether you turn the dial clockwise or counterclockwise, there's bits of color that appear in an orderly way, even though it's seemingly random. And so I just want you to know that your life is not random, it is orderly, but you get to turn the dial, right or counterclockwise or clockwise. You get to create your reality in this present moment. Now we're going to be using that kaleidoscope viewpoint in our 12th session on bliss, but I wanted you just to have that in mind. I went to Korea with my daughter and her husband and my husband, and on a bag in Korea I saw a saying, and it said, the best way to predict the future is to create it. And so just being happy to create your future is a really great mindset where you feel less limited by your experiences. All right, moving on. Another saying is adore what is, just to really accept the reality of the present moment and adore it rather than complain and argue about it. Just really accept it and make the best of it. So in this I Am lesson, I wanted to just let you know that I think the word ego has been given kind of a bad rap. So I don't really use the word ego. I've decided to use the word self. But let's look quickly at how an ego is defined. A person's sense of self-esteem or self-importance. The part of the mind that mediates between the conscious and the unconscious and is responsible for reality testing and a sense of personal identity. So that doesn't sound all bad. In metaphysics, the ego is a conscious thinking subject. But let's look at the words, the synonyms for ego. Self-esteem, self-importance, self-worth, self-respect, self-conceit, or self-love, it's also defined, self-image, and self-confidence. So you can see that the word self, I think, is a more important word that you can use to really define yourself. Also, if you can consider yourself, the next step is to consider your soul, because that is the eternal part of you that goes into the life that you have after this. And so know that yourself is kind of the present way that you're showing up right now on this planet. Your soul is even bigger than you, and it is who you are spiritually and eternally. And then the next is source. Source is just the love that is present for you in the universe that gives you the, light, love, power, and wisdom that you need. And so just as I've said in other sessions, that everything is for you and from you, through you, and to you. So see yourself as self, soul, and connected to source, right? That's a good I Am lesson for you there. And of course, in the Activate Your Soul Power written PDF, I have about over 40 words that represent your soul. And that just really helps you understand your soul in this present moment. One way that I've heard it described that you can say to encourage yourself is you can say, I can do it. And that's really you telling yourself you can do it. But then also listening to your soul also encourage you to say you can do it. So that's one way just to feel stronger in this present moment, to say I can do it. And listen to your soul say, yes, you can do it. All right. And I want to help you understand the importance of understanding where your self-concept comes from. So your self-concept primarily comes from the left side of your brain, the language and logical side of your brain. And sometimes this self-concept can be negative, it can be bossy, it can be something you feel like you have to listen to. And of course, our logical brain helps us, get to work on time and balance our checkbook and do a lot of really important things. But if you only listen to the left side of your brain about yourself, you will feel limited. So in our hypnotherapy session, I want to encourage you, and in life, to use also, when you're considering yourself, the right side of your brain. The right side of your brain is imaginative and creative and wordless. It's global. So let me just tell you one issue in my life where if I listen to my left side of my brain, I'm not going to be very successful. So I try to go global. So obviously, you know that I'm into health and nutrition, and exercising is really important about, tool. So I would think, oh, I need to exercise today. And then my left side of my brain, being logical, goes, well, you have too much work to do to have time for that. But I need to go global with that thought. I need to exercise today, but it'll improve my health. I'll feel better. I'll eat better. And my new one is I'll be stronger to play with my grandson. So when I can go global with the issue of exercise, then it's a lot easier to accomplish rather than just listening to what might be the logical side of my brain. All right, so go global with who you are. When you consider who you are, who yourself is, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, all of that's fine. But make sure that you also consider the right side of your brain and be creative and imaginative and come up with concepts about yourself that are way, way, way bigger than what you've previously considered. And we'll certainly work on that. So hypnotherapy is important because when you close your eyes, you instantly relax and begin to access that right side of your brain, which is your creative and imaginative side. And of course, we need the left side of our brain, the language part, to put words to what's wordless. But it's just really important to know that we're actually addressing life from that global perspective, which is, I think, why hypnotherapy is so important. Also, in our guided meditation, I'm going to be using mind-body connection to activate the right hemisphere of your brain by relaxing and using your imagination, going global about who you are. We're specifically going to be talking about body health, which I think is just a really practical way to just celebrate your I am. Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad to just share this information with you, and I'm looking forward to our one-on-one session. And I hope you also benefit from the I Am guided meditation. So namaste. The divine in me celebrates the divine in you.